Hi, and welcome to Speakers on Edge. We're doing 15 minutes of fame, and today I have an amazing guest. She has a voice of vision with a message that truly matters. Stacey, who are you?
I have been through some horrific tragedies in my life. It was actually 4 years ago this month that I got a phone call from my mom saying that she needed me in the hospital. My stepfather was not responsive that morning. And of course, when I got to the hospital, he was already pronounced. And then 3.5 weeks later, my husband died unexpectedly. He we most likely received COVID during the funeral process of my stepfather and got ill. During that time, my mom had also suffered some heart conditions and was in the hospital. So I was dealing with the loss of my stepfather, taking care of her, and then my husband got ill and um, and passed away. And that was 4 years ago that I suffered these two major losses. And I had two kids that were obviously suffering from the loss of their father. And one was in high school, and one was, a young adult, both living at home. And we had to navigate this new life of loss and tragedy. And I went back to work shortly after the death of both of them and experiencing those losses and navigating working full time, taking care of a home. And then I was decided that about a year and a half, maybe a year after they passed, I decided that I wanted to resign from the full time position that had been providing me my income and start coaching women that would they've also experienced loss, grief, and their identity to them own selves, and help them, you know, work through those losses and decrease their anxiety and
Yeah.
regulate their nervous systems.
It is a real tragedy when you lose your loved ones, and for it to happen so quickly and so suddenly. You must have been dealing with different levels of shock that were then going on top of more shock and more. I mean, when your stepfather passed, he that was sudden. I mean,
It
you
was.
basically that's where it's like being hit over the head with a baseball bat. Donk. Your whole world gets turned upside down. Then mum being sick. And then your husband, him. I mean, you've got mum being sick, and then now your husband's getting sick, and then unfortunately he's taken.
Mhm.
This level of shock, how did you handle that level of shock? Because it wasn't just you, it was you and the kids.
Yes. Yes, it was. And so now that I've gone through the grief process, I recognize that what I did was I just kept going. My nervous system, now that I know more, I've been a therapist for 25 years, and it's different when you're treating someone in therapy through grief than to experience it yourself. And I didn't realize that I wasn't utilizing any of the things that I had learned and taught my clients, and I just kept doing. My nervous system felt safer if I just kept busy, and so that's what I did. I figured out what I needed to do for the house. My daughter was racing four-wheelers. We went back to racing. I, contacted all of her sponsors and got everything situated for that. And then she was getting ready to go to college, so we were applying to colleges and scholarships, and I just kept moving, moving, moving. And it probably wasn't until she went off to college that I realized that I needed to rest, like I never had rested. And so I dealt with it by constantly finding something to do. And that's not what I teach now my clients, because it helped at that moment, but it just it never got me to go through the actual grief process.
And there's the hardest part, especially as a therapist, is going through that process and having because you have the understanding of the process that you're going through, yet whilst you have that understanding, you're actually going through it. And so you've actually got to remove yourself from being a therapist, but to actually be human. And I don't mean that as a therapist, you're not human. I
Right,
mean, you've actually got to be authentic and feel yourself.
right.
And so the being busy is a very typical coping mechanism.
It is.
How can you help people get over that busyness and actually realize that sometimes you actually just need to stop and have a good cry?
Yeah. So the things that I teach now are the things that I do every day. And that is, I start my morning routine with being me. I don't get up and start doing like I used to. I start my morning with, meditation, connecting to myself, identifying like what am I feeling in that moment. And I do a lot of grounding work, and I do some breath work. And that's what I teach, is to allow my clients to start feeling their feelings. And then we go into more of the, all the different layers. But allowing myself that time in the morning has allowed me now to really connect to what I'm feeling. And that's how
I
I
I
start my
have
day.
I have to play devil's advocate here because I hear this story all the time of, yep, as far as your therapy is concerned, you've got to take time for yourself. And then we hear the typical excuse that we always hear, but I've got 3 kids, 2 dogs, 4 cats, a husband, a wife, a partner, a lover, whatever my family nuances are. And then I've got the alarm clocks going off, and we've got to get the kids to school, and the kids are going to get dressed, and I don't have the time.
I hear that all the time as well. And I ask them, do you have time to use the restroom during the day? Because that's the time that
No.
so yes, I hear that all the time too. And I also hear I don't have the money for myself. And I said, I let them know that taking care of ourselves does not take, any money. And taking a couple minutes, it's literally my routine in the morning can be shrunk down to like 2 minutes. And so it started, instead of like getting, I used to like go right into getting myself ready for the day. And now I just take, even if it's just 2 3 minutes of some deep breathing and connecting to myself, that has changed my whole routine and just how I feel every day. And I've also started some, started doing some what I call book ending. So I start my morning with some journaling prompt of looking at what I appreciate. And then at the end of the day, I look at the things that I've accomplished. And during that, when I really started to sit with my grief, I recognized all the things that I was doing. But during that time of doing, I didn't realize that I always felt that I wasn't doing enough. And there was always so much more to do, and maybe not doing, and so then allowing that those bookends allow me to look at the more positive things that are going on in my life versus the things that are not going so well.
And so, what was it like for you to transform your life from being in the 9 to 5 world, where you had your old life, to migrating to this new, scary, unsecure? I've got to learn all this strange marketing life, huh?
It
What
was
was it like for you to change when you're actually dealing with all this other stuff as well?
Yeah, yeah. So I've also, I've worked with some amazing mentors that have taught me, continue to, and I've discovered more about myself. And so I have, but the marketing piece, and yeah, because as a therapist, clients were, I worked with a different agency. And so they were always coming to me naturally. And so transforming into this entrepreneurship during all of this grief and dealing with the all of my still life that goes on behind the scenes was, it was a difficult challenge at first, and I just felt like I was not, again, thought that I wasn't doing enough or wasn't doing well enough. And I did have to do some looking into myself and discovering what was my message that I wanted to make sure that women needed. But I continued to just look. I spent more time in the last year or so really discovering myself. And that's where I started to see my transformation the most too, is just connecting to more of myself and taking that time in the morning. And I've discovered that, it doesn't always mean working more or harder. It means having the right message and sharing my story.
And this is a really important distinction you're making there, is having the right message and sharing your story. Because there are many people out there who have had experiences along these lines. We've all pretty much lost people that we have loved. And at the time of recording this, in the last 3 months, I've had 3 people in my life pass.
I'm sorry for that.
Thank you. It's been really difficult. And the one thing that, and I've been doing counseling and therapy for 30 years. And the most beneficial step for me, yes, I've been doing all my techniques. I'm not, as my mum would say, do as I say, not as I do. But I actually do what I say to do. But I also gave myself the time to cry, to absolutely cry. Not just have these little tears, but the sob, the type of experience.
Mm-hmm.
And actually let that pain out. And did it hurt? Yes. Was it horrible? Yes. Has it helped me heal? I'm on that process. Are there still triggers that happen? Oh, yeah. But I can get up each day, and each day I do what you said. I take a moment for myself. I don't pick up the phone. I don't look at social media. I make a coffee because that's part of my love language. And I sit with my cat and we have cuddles. And it's our routine each morning. And it's the calmness, before the craziness, before the storm. It's the looking after yourself, taking that time. It's not about, oh, I've got this to do and I've got that to do and I've got to think about work. And I look out the window, the sky, and I feel grateful for where I live.
Mm-hmm.
And I just sit and breathe and I have my coffee. And I start my day.
Yep.
And that, to me, is the most important message that you've shared today. You are important.
Mm-hmm.
It is important that you look after yourself. Whether you're going through grief, trauma, whatever the situation, you could have the perfect life. You still have to look after you.
Right.
And it can be as simple as 2 minutes a day.
Mm-hmm.
Start and watch how amazing your life becomes as you grow and as you allow the healing. Now, Stacey, I know you help a lot of people. So where can people go to help you? So to help themselves with you?
Yes. Yeah. My website is staceyjohnsoncoaching.com.
Excellent. And we will also have your photo on our speakersonedge.com website and the 15 Minutes of Fame guest page with a button that links to that website. So that's it for today's show. The message, are you looking after you? It's time to. That's it for Speakers on Edge. Thanks, Stacey. We'll see everyone next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.